You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. ECZ postpones voter registration exercise. Lusaka's Kabanana compound in critical water shortage. Former ZAF commander Eric Chimense's salary said to be classified information court told. In international news, Ethiopia's Tigray region holds vote defying Abiy's federal government. And in sports news, Pats on Dhaka nets 4 and assists 2 in Salzburg big win. For the details, do join me shortly after this break.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you a filmmaker? Well, you are exactly what we are looking for.
Camnet TV is calling on local filmmakers. For more details,
You can visit our headquarters in Ibex Hill, next to Hilltop Hospital,
contact us on
0962 444 726. Camnet TV.
not just another channel.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga. A water shortage has hit Lusaka's Kabanana compound. The residents have told Camnet TV News that they have to wake up at 04 in the morning in search of the commodity. We have more in this report.
Access to adequate water in Zambia has continued to be a challenge faced by many communities in some part of Lusaka. Kabanana compound, specifically Kwa Maichola, is one of the compound that has been affected with the situation.
Pamemwa bwa tayamikira kwa mbiti. Era tumu ya mikirani, pamemwa bwa ndatenzo msakirani sakirani monga nyereti ya gwera pamatika. Isa kuno tina mavuto ya mbiti. Mavuto meti nayo kuno isi. Lord tiribe. Manzi, especially manzi. Manzi tuka, so zinontawa hapa. Ngati mvula ilo katima waka kuma 04. Bati ngati ni Oktoba, tima waka 02 na 01. Era manje kuno kwa paka wakawalara. Bamenyewa abantu. Mwende mu hospital mzapeza makeses ya kuno kwa Maichola.
The residents have accused the area councillor Christopher Shakafuswa of not addressing some of the challenges the area is facing.
And this community has got a lot of people, close to 7, 10, 20,000 so people. But look at the market that they are using. This is the only market. Now, this is the problem that we are having. The only issue that has troubled us a lot is that the councillor is not seen. We don't even know him. Not only councillor, but even his MP is nowhere to be seen. So they should be very much aware that 2021 is coming and no one is going to stand. No one is going to win this place. We'll give it to someone who deserves it.
Aba mayomule monaba. Aba kashibesu taturana na umaya ndomula wa mensha. Apa kubalya ndati kuli corona. Echo tuleso shishati corona ine yabufi mulandu wako bati amenshi balera ndokutira amenshi twakulata pa menshi. Twakulata pa menshi yashane. Pantu ubwika shibwa muntu menshi.
Meanwhile, the area councillor has refuted to the allegations against him. Mr. Shakafuswa has told Camnet TV News in a telephone interview that he has on several occasions engaged the resident to address the issue.
Well, this question keeps on coming all the time. I have done more than 4 dry boreholes in my Chola area. Water is not like medium which you are going to get in a shop. I've brought a lot of technicians in that area. The aquifer around my Chola area is dry. We've done sometimes up to 140 meters. We have never found water. So what we are doing now, in conjunction with Lusaka Water and Storage Company, Chazanga Water Trust, we want to drill boreholes in Ngwerere and pump the water around that area. I'm going to be calling those people that they should start attending the developmental meetings so that they can convince the others. Because, as you may know, Mpulungu starts from, what road is that? The Heroes Roundabout. Huh?
Yes.
And to the east up to Ngwerere Road. So you find that we have a small amount of resource which has to be shared equitably.
Lack of adequate health, water and sanitation services may pose serious challenges for effective infection prevention and control of COVID-19. According to 2018 Zambia Demographic and Health Survey, more than 36% of Zambia's population lacked access to safe water and more than 67% lacked access to basic sanitation. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Lawyers representing former Zambia Air Force Commandant Lieutenant General Eric Chimense has contended that it is not right for a state witness to disclose the latter's salary and emolument to the courts of law, as his salary was and still is classified information. Mr. Chimense's lawyers have told the court that disclosing their client's emoluments contravenes the State Security Act, which prohibits anyone from doing so. This came about when a state witness on stand was giving evidence in a matter where Mr. Chimense, along with Cheetah Lodge Executive Director James Chungu, are jointly charged with an offense of abuse of authority of office and money laundering relating to 9 apartments in Ibex Hill and Lilai. The court has reserved its ruling on this argument on the 30th of September 2020.
Former Zambia Air Force Commander Lieutenant General Eric Chimense and his co-accused James Chungu, the director of Cheetah Lodge, appeared before court this morning. The accused appeared before Lusaka Magistrate Sunke Chanda for continued trial in a case they are charged with abuse of authority of office and money laundering relating to 9 apartments in Ibex Hill and Delay area. When the matter came up, the court was told that there is no need to get permission from the president for a witness to disclose evidence relating to the former ZAF Commander Eric Chimense's salary and pension benefits. This was after the defense contended that evidence regarding Lieutenant General Eric Chimense's salary, pension benefits, and emolument is classified information under the State Security Act. However, the state have argued that if the personal emolument of the president, who is the commander-in-chief, is in public domain, it should be the same with his subordinates. And Lusaka Magistrate Sunke Chanda has also been told that General Eric Chimense was a public officer whose salary and pension benefits should be disclosed to the court. The state argues that the disclosure of the accused's personal emolument will not in any way compromise the security of the state. The prosecution says classified information is well documented in the State Security Act, and the disclosure of the personal emolument for the ZAF commander is not one of them. Yesterday, the 9th of September 2020, ZAF Director in charge of salaries and pension, Bernard Chileshe, was stopped from giving further information on the matter by defense lawyers, saying it borders on national security. The court is yet to make a ruling on the matter. It has, however, adjourned the matter to 30th September 2020 as the next court appearance for the accused. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Secretary to the Treasury, Fredson Nyamba, has submitted in the courts of law that former Deputy Minister in the Ministry of Gender and Child Development, Obias Chabuch Sala, was paid his salary for the months of May, June and July 2016, despite him claiming that he was not. The respondents, through their lawyers, Merces Ellis and Co., Merces Lungu Simwanza and Company, and Merces D.H. Kemp and Company, told the court that they were were not paid their repatriation allowances amounting to 15,000 kwacha per person. But government through Ms. Tayamba has classified that the correct figure to be paid to the former cabinet and deputy ministers in form of repatriation allowances is 8,000 kwacha only and not 15,000 kwacha as being claimed. This is in a case where 64 former cabinet deputy and provincial ministers who stayed in office illegally after parliament was dissolved before the 2016 general elections were ordered to pay back the money they received by the Constitutional Court. According to a list compiled by government, the ministers will pay over 72,000 kwacha each. In August 2016, the Constitutional Court ordered the ministers to pay back all the emoluments received from the government between May 12, 2016, when Parliament was dissolved, and August 10, 2016, when judgment was passed. The state later asked the Constitutional Court to assess the monies that the ministers who stayed in office after Parliament was dissolved in 2016 were supposed to be paid back. 3 years after the court ordered them to pay back, the ministers had not done so, with Justice Minister Given Lubinda insisting that he would not pay because he did not work for free. And moving on in other news, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has postponed the date for the commencement of voter registration from the initial 19th of October to the 28th of October 2020. Announcing this development, ECZ Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano explains that this is due to the delays in concluding the issuance of mobile national registration cards in the first phase, which has also been extended. Mr. Shindano, however, says the Commission will not extend the dates further due to the underlying legal obligations in the electoral process. On the 28th of August 2020, Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo announced the postponement of the issuance of NRCs in 4 provinces, namely Southern, Western, Central and Muchinga provinces, citing challenges in the first phase.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, a body responsible for elections, with the general elections slated for 12th August 2021, the preparations have heightened from all stakeholders, ranging from the issuance of national registration cards to the commencement of the voter registration. The voter registration exercise that was scheduled to start on the 19th of October 2020 has been rescheduled to 28th October 2020. Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano says the changes are meant to accommodate all eligible voters who are still in the process of acquiring the national registration cards, an important document for would-be voters. Mr. Shindano is hopeful that the issuance of NRCs will not be extended further by the ministry in charge.
It's 28th October 2020, which is 2 days before the conclusion of the issuance of the mobile NRCs. So issuance of NRCs is expected to conclude on 30th October, whilst the voter registration exercise will commence on 28th of October. So that's 2 days before they do that. This, one might ask why that is the case. It has no impact, as the deployment of our teams will be in the same jurisdiction, and therefore those that will be able to get the cards on 30th will still be able to be captured by the team that will be in that jurisdiction. This further puts pressure on the already tight election calendar that the Commission is working with, and is confident that the DNRPC will be able to conclude as scheduled. It should be noted, however, that should there be any further adjustment in the issuance of NRCs, the Commission will, however, not be able to adjust.
Meanwhile, Mr. Shindano has revealed that ECZ will introduce the conversation streams into polling stations in the 2021 general elections, a development which will be piloted in the forthcoming Lukasha and Mwansawombe parliamentary by-elections.
As in the past shared its intention to turn streams into polling stations as part of the enhancement for result management, and to generally quicken the voting process, counting, announcement, and declaration of results. The Commission will now pilot the conversion of streams into polling stations in the forthcoming Mwansavombwe and Lukasha parliamentary by-elections, which are scheduled for next week. This is 17 September 2021. This plan has already been communicated to the participating political parties in the two by-elections who have supported the idea and also committed to informing their respective political parties on the changes, especially the lower structures. The Commission will review the effectiveness of this pilot and share with the political parties and indeed the general public on the changes that will be put in place for the 2021 general elections. The Commission is very confident that this will not only enhance the result management system, but also enhance transparency and stakeholder confidence in the electoral process.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A councillor in Mwenilunga district of Northwestern Province says several parts of the district have been left out on the ongoing mobile issuance of national registration cards, NRCs. Councillor Roy Muyambi of Kasapula ward names some of the places waiting for the process to reach them as Lukokwa, Ndalu, Kakoma, Kalubinga, Kalukundu and Muzila. Mr. Muyambi explains that despite governments postponing the exercise to the 19th of September, it is not enough time to finish all these places. He has told Camnet TV News that some of these places are about 100 kilometers from the Mwenilunga Boma.
My complaint was this NRC program is a nationwide program, countrywide program, of which some areas in my ward have been left out, like Lukokwa and Ndalu. These people have no access to travel some 80 kilometers to Mukumba where officers are, and Kasampula 90 kilometers. These are challenges. Since the government has increased days to 19, and I need a quick response so that the DT, being the chair, can speed up, can push up the officers to go to those viral breaks. We have to vote for our people so that things work amicably.
The Pharmaceutical Association of Zambia has distanced itself from remarks circulating in the media that some of the medical supplies government recently purchased are of low quality while some are expired. An expelled pharmacist, Jerome Kanyika, this week made allegations that government has bought medical supplies which are below the required standards and some expired. In this regard, Pharmaceutical Association of Zambia Interim President Marlon Banda says the association has no capacity to determine the ethnicity of medicines, adding that this is the duty of the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA. Mr. Banda has further expressed worry over remarks made by Mr. Kanyika, adding that they have the potential to jeopardize the provision of healthcare in the country.
The Pharmaceutical Society is a professional body of pharmacists and pharmacy technologists. These are trained in manufacturing and use of medicines, and their training includes the determination of the quality and safety of these medicines. However, these aspects of medicines quality and safety can only be determined through systematic and technological assessments that utilize established procedures and processes. These are so sophisticated that countries need specially trained and equipped organizations such as the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, to carry out the tests and controls. PSZ does not have the mandate and the capacity to assess medicines quality and safety. The professional body has to rely on ZAMRA. In the case of the health center kits in question, PSZ has done no work or investigations to determine their efficacy and their safety. Indeed, it is not our job to do that. That is the legal duty of ZAMRA. ZAMRA does not allow anything into the market, whether imported or locally manufactured, without their licensing. And that licensing depends on checks that they do. Where safety or quality concerns are discovered after the release of those products into the market, ZAMRA can institute product recalls. In the case of the health center kits under discussion, PSZ is not aware of any concern raised by ZAMRA or indeed any product recall.
The government has launched the 2019-2030 population policy, whose aim is to give guidance on addressing population issues in an integrated manner in line with Zambia's aspirations. Officially launching the policy, National Development Planning Minister Alexander Chiteme says the policy will give a new dimension to development planning by ensuring that population factors are integrated into all development planning processes. And speaking at the same event, United Nations Fund for Population Activities Deputy Representative Leonard Kamujisa notes that Zambia's population is expected to increase by 23.5 million by the year 2030, adding that the population policy has come out at an opportune time. Details in this report.
Zambia, a middle-income country with a population of about 17 million, projected to grow to about 26.9 million by the year 2030. This projection entails that Zambia needs to drastically grow its economy in order to ensure that the population meets its required needs. If this situation remains unchecked, Zambia runs the risk of not realizing its Vision 2030 of becoming a prosperous middle-income country. Zambia has many population challenges, among them high levels of fertility, particularly teenage fertility, child marriages, and high levels of rural-urban migration, resulting in population explosion. In this regard, government, through the Ministry of National Development Planning and other cooperating partners, have formulated a population policy which will help in mitigating population challenges for the years 2019 to 2030. Alexander Chiteme is Minister in charge.
Many policymakers, researchers, and other stakeholders discuss the issue of benefiting from the population, with a large number of those in the working ages of 15 to 64 years, which we refer to as harnessing the demographic dividend. To receive a demographic dividend, Zambia should sustainably lower the birth and death rates of our children. The high fertility levels entail that the country will for some time have a large number of children, thereby having a continued shrinking ratio of the working population to the total population. The country therefore needs to implement programs that will help transition from high birth and death rates to lower birth and death rates. The high birth rates have led to high child dependency ratio, which has the potential to contribute negatively to the output per capita and lead to undesirable economic and social outcomes of the population.
And Permanent Secretary in charge of Development Cooperation at the Ministry of National Development Planning, Daniel Chisende, says government recognizes that population is one key area that needs to be looked at in order for the country to achieve sustainable development.
Data is very important when you're planning, and we need to understand, I think, how the population is growing so that certain aspects are incorporated in our planning so that we know exactly how many hospitals we need to construct, how many doctors we need to train, how many teachers to support the social economic development agenda.
Meanwhile, UNFPA was also present at the launch.
UNFPA is proud to have collaborated with the government in recognition of the linkages between population dynamics and quality of life, as well as sustainable development. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, the year 2020 marks the first year to a decade of action in accelerating progress towards achieving the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Therefore, the launch of this policy could not have come at a more opportune time in shaping sustainable social economic development in Zambia.
The policy is said to be a catalyst that government will use in an effort to address population factors that undermine efforts towards sustainable development. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
For now, we take our first set of commercials. Do stay tuned as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
Take control of your tax planning. Avoid penalties and interest. Returns and payments due by the 10th of the month for declarations of the previous month's transactions are pay as you earn and skills development levy. Returns and payments due by the 14th of the month are turnover tax, withholding tax, mineral royalty tax, tourism levy, gaming and baiting, presumptive tax. Returns and payments for all withholding VAT agents is the 16th of the month. Returns and payments for all VAT registered suppliers is the 18th of the month. Submit the returns and make payments on or before the respective due dates to avoid penalties on the late submission of returns and payments of taxes. Further, note that VAT tax invoices for all business-to-business and business-to-government transactions must bear the tip-in of the buyer without fail. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not Pure Glycerin.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. A Zambian entrepreneur and author, Malama Katulwende, says the Zambian government can take advantage of the weakening local currency by exporting more goods to earn more foreign exchange. And Mr. Katulwende has urged Zambians to ensure that they add value to their products if they are to penetrate the international market. He says even in as much as the country may record negative shocks from the devaluation of the kwacha, Zambians must be able to look at the positive side of the situation. He was speaking in an interview with Camnet TV News.
While a certain percentage of the population might not like the fact that the kwacha has been depreciated, there is the other positive aspect. Exports become cheaper.
And so if we align our businesses to exporting more than we are importing, then then we can make more money. You can in itself, exchange volatility in itself is not a problem. It's not a problem in the sense that if you look at Japan, I think their currency to the US dollar would be about 250. The Nigerian naira is also over 100. Other currencies like the Chinese yuan is in hundreds, you know. So it's not a matter of quantities in terms of $1 to so much, but how much you are able to export and how much you are able to import, and whether if you import a lot of things, then you would be adversely affected. The challenge we have as a country is that we are so much import dependent. Most of our foreign exchange come from the mines. Other traditional products and services, such as maybe agricultural products, they are not much. So we have to align our economy to one that should export more. Then if we export more, then we are going to have surplus dollars. Maybe this is a good thing to teach us a lesson that we should be exporting more.
The Cleaning Association of Zambia has urged government to suspend import and excise duty on all cleaning equipment and raw materials in the 2021 national budget. Association President Lawrence Makumbi says this will help the country recover from the economic crunch experienced in the year 2020. Mr. Makumbi tells Camnet TV News in an interview that the Zambian kwacha must be stabilized as most of the equipment and raw materials they use are imported. He says if this is not done, it may lead to the products and services being unaffordable to the common man, and most of the cleaning companies will close up due to lack of sales. Mr. Makumbi is further urging government to consider halting or penalties on NAPSA owed payments, which he said has proved to be a great challenge to most companies during this COVID-19 period with the cash flow challenges.
The Zambian kwacha must be stabilized as most of the equipment and raw materials we use in the cleaning sector are imported. If this is not done, it may lead to our products and services being unaffordable to the common man, and most of the cleaning companies will end up closing due to lack of sales. The government must also consider holding all penalties on the NAPSA owed payments. This has proven to be a great challenge to most companies during this COVID fight, as we have cash flow challenges. Payments of huge penalties is suffocating many companies that are owing NAPSA. This is a time that local companies must be helped to sail through these hard financial times. We also wish to request for the suspension of import duty and export duty on all cleaning equipment and raw materials for the 2021 budget, so we can recover from the economic crunch of this year. The government must further increase the allocation to debt payments, as this will improve cleaning companies' liquidity levels. Most companies have supplied government institutions and departments and are now insolvent. With these funds being given to the local cleaning companies, we'll be able to pay the workers' arrears, and many of our members have defaulted on tax payments obligations to government because they have not received payments. Hence, payments of debt will help us a lot in 2021.
Transport and Communications Minister Mutotwe Kafwaya has urged motorists to observe traffic rules at all costs. The minister has emphasized on the need for motorists to ensure that they follow traffic rules around school zones. Minister Kafwaya says this will help in the reduction of accidents. Mr. Kafwaya says drivers have the responsibility of keeping school-going children safe, as driving at high speed increases the chance of death or injury for child pedestrians. He adds that road accidents have negatively affected the growth of the country's economy. He was speaking during the launch of the 30 kilometers per hour assigned program held in Lusaka.
Around school zones is one of the ways of reducing accidents involving school children. While road safety skills can be learned, these are not skills that emerge naturally in young children. Further, children face high risks on the road as a result of several factors such as difficulty in seeing in traffic due to their height and poor judgment of the distance between themselves and vehicles when both are in motion. To make matters worse, young children are active, energetic, and often impulsive. They can move quietly and quickly. They get highly absorbed in whatever they are doing, including chasing a ball behind a car. They often do not stop, even if they are asked to do so. In order to reduce traffic accidents, my message to the children is that roads are a dangerous environment and we should avoid playing their own. Please take seriously what you have learned from your trainers from
The Policy Monitoring and Research Center, PMCR, expects President Edgar Lungu to give a holistic overview regarding the effects of the coronavirus that it has had on the Zambian economy. Organization's Executive Director, Benedict Deka Zulu, says it is expected that the presidential address will update the nation on the health measures that the government of the Republic of Zambia has put in place to upscale and enhance the country's preparedness, surveillance, and response to the COVID-19 threat. Ms. Zulu adds that President Lungu should also enlighten the nation on the recently released stimulus package and how it has so far benefited the Zambians. President Lungu will open the 12th session of the National Assembly this Friday, 11 September 2020.
The president is enthusiasm towards the ring fencing of the stimulus package. From the 10 billion kwacha that was set aside in the that was approved by cabinet in April 2020, earlier this year, in the view that they can help out small to medium enterprises and also households that are actually limping. We also hope that he would touch on the status of the social cash transfer scheme to see if there are other avenues also that can actually be put together to enhance these efforts, so that those households that have now been affected even more by the pandemic, because obviously our traders, our mothers cannot go out there to sell better freely the way it used to be, and so others actually blue-collar jobs have been affected as well. So we find that our fathers, our brothers are actually out of employment now because they've been laid off due to the very pandemic. So we are finding that the hunger situation could actually be at par, and also we hope that the president will talk about also the diversification of our businesses in view of the fact that he had put across, well, he had called for a task force of some sort, led by a consortium of associations and organizations such as ZAKI, the Zambia Association of Manufacturers, which is ZAM, together with maybe the Zambia National Farmers Union, and to work hand in hand with South African chain stores to see how our local products can be on these stores' shelves. And we have seen a very good example from one of our local producers, if I can call her a local producer, from Meraki Cakes, where she's actually,
Lusaka City Council and Zambian breweries have signed a memorandum of understanding to enhance health education on responsible alcohol consumption and harm reduction initiatives. Speaking during the signing ceremony, LCC Town Clerk Alex Mwansa says the initiative will help in behavior change towards people's drinking habits through constant information, communication, education. Mr. Mwansa observed that the campaign is in line with the local authorities' strategy of creating a livable city with an environment where everyone can enjoy. And a Zambian breweries country director, Jose Noran, says his company is partnering with LCC to intensify education and enforcement of public health guidelines through smart drinking as drinking habits have shifted. The MOU will launch a smart drinking campaign that will see LCC intensifying health education on alcohol consumption around Lusaka by engaging outlets, retailers, distributors and consumers.
And as a local authority, we've been calling for worthy partnerships. And I can see the implementation of responsible alcohol consumption and harm reduction initiative. Really, to me, it's a good initiative. We are trying to create livable cities, an environment where everyone can enjoy. And I'm happy that you, as the responsible beverage producer, and us as regulators of the Liquor Licensing Act, and also regulators of the various parcels of legislation that government has passed, are partnering in fighting, in enforcing the COVID-19 regulations. We've had several partners, and the Zambia Brewery is in one of them. But it is very, very difficult to change behavior of people.
You might be asking why in this period, with all the restrictions that we're seeing in the market, all the COVID restrictions, especially on the on-premise side, is because we can say, and we have seen that in reality, the current situation that we're living, it's creating even more abuse. It's creating even more different habits, different consumption habits that are not only getting exacerbated by the fact that now people are continuing to drink, but now they're drinking in a different way, probably in hidden places, which is not respecting some of the guidelines. And it's already that not just being a problem, but also a problem that represents especially to fight the COVID pandemic.
We now take our last set of commercials. Do stay tuned as we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant Save Nations to Develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors, to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, in Ethiopia, a local election has taken place in the Tigray region against the orders of the country's federal government. Tigray officials holding polls for the 190-seat regional parliament warned that any intervention by the federal government would amount to a declaration of war. It is feared that the vote too could increase political tensions and even threaten the country's unity. In other news, fires are again burning near a refugee camp in Greece. The fire left thousands of people without shelter, but residents are blaming some refugees for starting the fires. Officials believe refugees who were forced to self-isolate after testing positive for the coronavirus may have committed the arson in protest. Al Jazeera has more in this roundup.
People in the Tigray region of northern Ethiopia voted in an election that Ethiopia's federal government said was unconstitutional and illegal. The government had postponed nationwide polls that were due last month because of the coronavirus pandemic. But some Tigrayan voters say they were being deprived of their democratic rights.
I believe it is lawful to hold elections every 5 years. It is in the law. It is very important because it means being governed by a legitimate government elected by the people.
The Tigrayan People's Liberation Front is widely supported here. It dominates the regional state council, and that's not expected to change with the poll's result. Tigrayans make up less than 5% of Ethiopia's more than 100 million people. But the TPLF party has dominated Ethiopian politics for most of the last 30 years. But that changed when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came to power 2 years ago, following years of anti-government protests. Many TPLF officials say that he's been squeezing them out of the central federal government. Last month, regional security forces loyal to the TPLF paraded in cities in Tigray in a show of strength. Abiy ruled out sending the National Armed Forces to stop the election. Tigrayan leaders said doing so would be a declaration of war. But Abiy's ruling Prosperity Party said it won't recognise the election result.
This is a very dangerous situation. The TPLF is putting itself into a suicidal mission because this election is totally illegal.
Some minority Tigrayan political parties think the region should secede. For now, TPLF officials are disgruntled, but they say they still believe in a united Ethiopia. The Tigrayan election is the latest controversy amid rising tensions between Ethiopia's central federal government leaders and some of the regional states. Until those tensions are resolved, Ethiopia's unity and stability are at risk.
This was one of Europe's largest refugee camps, Moria, on the Greek island of Lesbos. Fires have torn through tents and dilapidated structures. They were thought to have been deliberately lit by people fed up with their desperate existence, compounded by coronavirus.
Me house this finished. Hospice, many, all finished.
Thousands of people became homeless once again, precious family belongings hastily bundled together to form makeshift bedding. There were no fatalities, but these are lives thrust even deeper now into limbo.
It's very difficult. The situation is very bad. I say it's from all people from road. Now you come, take everybody who want to go is living here because it's problem. The fire make the night is now.
The camp had housed more than 12,000 people in cramped, unsanitary conditions designed for a quarter of that number, conditions in which coronavirus could easily flourish.
We are extremely worried, not only for the 40% children that live in Moria who are currently on the street, but in particular related to COVID, also more than 200 people live in the camp who are at particular risk for COVID, either because of their age or because of comorbidities. That would mean that if they get infected, they will be much more sick than the rest of the population. And so as far as we know right now, those 200 are mixed in the big group of 13,000 who are basically at loss in the streets.
In 2015 and 2016, hundreds of thousands of people risked the Mediterranean crossing in small boats from Turkey to Greek islands like Lesbos. They fled war, persecution and poverty. The European Union eventually closed its doors, but the refugees kept coming, many ending their journey here in Moria camp, a problem the Greek government has long said it shouldn't have to shoulder alone.
I believe that a bad experience can quickly turn into an opportunity for a better reality, and this will happen in Lesbos. Once the damage in Moria has been assessed and in consultation with the European Commission, we will take concrete initiatives. Our priority remains the health and safety of all, both residents and migrants.
With nowhere else to go, there was little to do but sit and wait. The government says that as many as 3,500 people will have to be rehoused in tents, municipal facilities and on-board ships. But just 24 hours after the fire that destroyed the official Moria camp, a new fire was lit, and the numbers of people in need of shelter are now likely to be far higher. John Psaropoulos, Al Jazeera, Lesbos.
We now get into sports news. Zambian striker Patson Daka scored 4 goals while Enoch Mwepu chipped in with 1 goal on Wednesday as Red Bull Salzburg made easy work of lower tier side Swansven Bregenz, thrashing them 10-0 in the first round of the OFB Cup. Salzburg, who are the defending champions of the Austrian Cup, opened the scores just 13 minutes. Enoch Mwepu with a beautiful pass to Patson Daka, who set up to Sekoi Koita for the opening goal of the match with a net finish from inside the area. 4 minutes later, Daka was brought down in the box. The referee pointed to the spot. The Zambian striker stepped up and made it 2-0. It was 3-0 by the 23rd minute as Patson Daka took advantage of a foul on Masaka on the edge of the box to hit a beautiful strike grab his brace before turning provider 5 minutes later, setting up Mohammed for a stunner of a goal to make it 4-0. Enoch Mwepu made it 5-0 in the 34th minute with a close-range shot, beating the goalkeeper at his near post. Both the story and picture are courtesy of Zamfoot Sports.
Bekannt nicht nur in Österreich, sondern ganz Europa, weltweit. Absolut erste Klasse. Po. Sehr präzise, satter Schuss, 2-0. Amayo, Okugawa. Oh. Boah, und da ist gar nicht lange Elfmeter zu pfeifen. Daka, bevor der Schiri die Pfeife im Mund hat, steht hier schon. Oh. Das hat wieder schwer nach 11 ausgesehen und ist wieder nicht nötig zu pfeifen. Mwepu macht hier das 5-0, 34 Minuten. Oh, Daka nimmt den noch mit. Daka, boah, super gemacht. Petzen Daka macht das halbe Dutzend voll hier. Der war ganz schwer schon. Naja, da sind hier hauptsächlich Amateure am Werk. Das war beruflich auch nicht nett. Aber nächster Treffer, auch der zählt. 39. Minute. 7:0.
That sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV World News on Camnet TV, not just another channel. But before we go, a look at the headlines once again. In local news, ECZ postpones voter registration exercise. Lusaka's Kabanana compound in critical water shortage. Former ZAF commander Eric Chimenze's salary said to be classified information, court told. In international news, Ethiopia's Tigray region holds vote defying Abiy's federal government. And in sports news, Patson Daka nets 4 and assists 2 in Salzburg big win. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Psalms 110 verse 4, and it reads, "The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek." I have been your host, Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga. God bless.